This marks the beginning of media unit number 2. Going back on record, time is 10:31 a.m.
Ms. Reyes, you understand you're still under oath, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, your testimony was that you did not participate in the decision-making process to terminate Mr. Coleman. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you ever participate in any decision-making process to suspend Mr. Coleman?
No, sir.
Do you have any understanding as to why Mr. Coleman was terminated?
The reason behind it?
Yes. Do you have an understanding as to the reasoning? Correct.
I'm aware of the reason he was suspended. Yes. Or I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I
Yes.
had asked what was the reason for his termination.
Yes, I'm aware of the reason for his termination.
Okay. And what was the reason for his termination, as you understand? Well, first of all, let me back up. What's the source of your understanding as to the reason for his termination?
It came from Juan.
Okay. And when did Juan tell you the reason for his termination?
I wouldn't be able to give you a date. I don't remember. I don't recall.
Was it before he was terminated, Mr. Coleman was terminated, or after?
It would have been before.
And you have no recollection of the reason that Mr. Ramos gave for Mr. Coleman's termination?
I remember it was for violation of company policy was what it ended up being.
Do you know what company policy was allegedly violated?
It would have been outlined. I mean, I remember the gist of it. I don't remember the verbatim.
Well, what's your best recollection of the reason Mr. Ramos gave for Mr. Coleman's termination?
So there is in one of our manuals, there is crew member expectations. There's probably more to that title, but it's crew member expectations. Underneath that one, there's actually quite a few different bullets of crew member expectations when it comes to behavior and performance. And there would have been a couple of those that would have been used in this case.
Can you remember with specificity what behavior Mr. Ramos was referencing in his explanation for the termination of Mr. Coleman?
So it was because of the incident in Buffalo, but I don't remember the exact bullet points under that subcategory, under that category.
Did Mr. Ramos ever discuss with you whether the issue of alcohol consumption would form part of his rationale for the termination of Mr. Coleman?
He did not.
So was the sum total of what Mr. Ramos told you that Mr. Coleman was terminated because of misconduct related to the Buffalo hotel incident? Is that correct?
Can you repeat that?
That Mr. Ramos explained the rationale for Mr. Coleman's termination in terms of misconduct related to the January incident at the Buffalo hotel, correct?
Fair to say, yes.
Okay, but he didn't give any specifics about what it was about that conduct that was the basis for the termination. Is that right?
There was, again, it's under crew member expectations. I just don't remember exactly which one were the under that category. There's a bunch of other bullet points that encompass crew member expectation. I just cannot remember which ones exactly.
Well, when I'm asking, what did Mr. Ramos say to you in terms of the conduct he found objectionable, or did he say anything?
Oh, no. It was just a general for violation of company policy, crew member expectations, and then whatever the subcategory was.
So Mr. Ramos referred to policy, but did not refer to specific actions by Mr. Coleman.
Not to me personally. Not to me personally.
Okay. Okay, let me try to do this share screen again. Moving by leaps and bounds into the 21st century. Okay, here we go. So I'll ask the court reporter to mark this as Exhibit I, as an icicle. And I'm showing, for the sake of the record, I'll reference that I put on the screen a 3-page document. We're looking at the first page, which shows an email from Wanda Garcia to Grizel Camacho. And that below that, the next email in the thread is from Linda Reyes, dated March 10th, 2020 at 4:37 p.m. to Wanda Garcia and Juan Ramos. And it says, "Good afternoon, Wanda. Attaches the suspension PG for Clay for you to review. Thank you, Linda." And Ms. Reyes, did you send this email to Wanda Garcia and Juan Ramos on March 10th, 2020?
That came from my email, yes.
And who asked you? So did you prepared a suspension PG for Clay?
So a suspension PG, there's essentially a template for it.
Right.
And then you edit the areas that need to be edited, and then it's sent for review.
Okay, but you in this instance, you prepared a suspension PG for Clay?
I worked with Juan on this, yes.
I'm sorry, you worked with whom?
With Juan.
Okay.
Mhm.
And who told you to prepare the suspension PG for Clay?
Juan.
And how did he communicate that request to you?
I don't recall.
Well, what would be typical? Would it be typical for him to send an email to you, or to call you, or visit your office?
Probably in person. I mean, we worked in the same office space. He's like one office over, so most likely in person, but I don't remember exactly.
So if Mr. Ramos was the one who made the request to you, why are you sending this directly to Wanda Garcia with just a CC to Mr. Ramos?
Because I would have worked with him on preparing this document, so I include him because he's my base manager. I usually include him in a lot of communications.
But why my question is more to the issue of why are you sending it to Wanda Garcia?
We usually send all our documents to Wanda Garcia to make sure that they review it and they okay it.
So that was her responsibility to review and approve your suspension PG for Clay Coleman?
I don't know if it's her responsibility. I just know it was more of a best practice for us.
Well, did Mr. Ramos instruct you to send it to Wanda Garcia?
I don't remember in this particular instance, but usually anything that would be a suspension or a PG or a progressive guidance or anything of that nature would go through career relations.
Okay. And then Wanda Garcia would have to approve it?
She would write any edits or anything that needs to be changed or anything that needs to be further explained.
And how did you know what to put in the suspension PG?
Like I said before, it was pretty much a template, and then I worked with Juan to edit the document.
Now, going down one page, and just for the record, the first page is bait stamped JB000956, and then moving down to 957. I think it's 957. Yes, it is. Okay, so would this be the crew member progressive guidance report that you prepared?
Yes.
Yeah.
This would be what we.
No, it's my fault because I was, and I'm making things difficult for the court reporter, and I apologize. But this, going back to the first page, it's referencing a suspension PG for Clay, and going to the second page, 957, Is this the crew member progressive guidance report that you prepared and sent to Mr. Ramos and Ms. Garcia on March 10th, 2020?
From what it appears, yes.
Now, looking at the first paragraph under details, it says, Clay, we are meeting today to discuss the incident that occurred on January 4th, 2020, in which you displayed inappropriate behavior at the BUF Crew Hotel while on a layover and were removed from the hotel by local authorities. This behavior was in violation section 3.4, open parenthesis, e-guidance and performance expectations, close parenthesis, and section 5.7, open parenthesis, trigger events, close parenthesis, of the in-flight Blue Book Supplement, IBBS. Did I read that correctly, Ms. Reyes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it says in the first line, it says, we are meeting today. Did you participate in any meeting on or about March 10th with Mr. Coleman concerning this matter?
I don't recall when we spoke about this suspension, PG.
Did you ever have a live discussion with Mr. Coleman concerning the suspension, PG?
Suspension PGs can be in person or over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't recall how we spoke about this.
Is it possible that you never spoke to Mr. Coleman concerning this suspension, PG?
No, sir. Someone would have had to have spoken, whether it's me or another supervisor would have had to have spoken to him before you suspend.
Well, it's possible that you were not the person who had the discussion, correct?
It's possible.
Do you have any specific recollection of discussing this suspension, PG, with Mr. Coleman?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
And are you able to identify anyone who confirmed to you that he or she had a PG suspension discussion with Mr. Coleman?
Can we scroll all the way to the bottom?
Sure.
Because at the bottom it would, whoever said, let's see. So that would be me. I would have had to have a conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the other person's name would be at that bottom part.
Okay. But you have no specific recollection of that discussion?
I don't.
Did you engage in any further investigation after March 10 concerning Mr. Coleman?
So I don't remember like at what point this was versus the meeting. So it's a little hard for me to say yes, I did or no, I didn't, because I don't remember which one happened at what point. But I was involved with the meeting, and then I was involved with this actual PG.
Well, the meeting you referenced, are you referring now to the meeting you had with Mr. Ramos and someone from crew relations?
Yes, sir.
And that was shortly after you received material from the hotel?
Yes, sir.
And that meeting occurred in January, isn't that correct?
I don't remember the date. I don't remember the date of that meeting.
Do you not even remember the month?
I don't, because I remember it took some time to get everything from the hotel. I just don't remember how long it took.
You think it took 2 months?
No, probably not 2 months.
Okay.
Probably not 2 months.
All right. So my question is, in March of 2020, did you engage in any further investigation concerning Mr. Coleman and the events in January at the hotel in Buffalo?
No, sir.
Now, the second paragraph reads, the appropriate follow-up is suspension without pay. I have explained that you're being removed with the removal pending investigation RPI code to allow time for a full and fair investigation. Now, Ms. Reyes, there was no investigation of any kind on March 10th or any day thereafter, correct?
I'm not, on my behalf, no.
Are you aware of any current flight attendants at JetBlue who suffer from diabetes?
That I am aware of personally, no.
You know, Lillian, I'm either done or close to done, but I guess I need 10 minutes or so to consult with my client. So if we could take another break until say 11, and then hopefully I can tell you it's wrapped up, or we'll be wrapped up shortly thereafter.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you.
This marks the end of media unit number 2, going off record. Time is 10:47 a.m.